Masson. Hello, we have the honor and pleasure to welcome you to the third BnB Greece Conference, representing one of the biggest online travel agents worldwide, Booking.com. Mr. Thibault Masson, Program Manager, Hospitality of Booking.com, will present to the Greek audience useful insights for the short-term rentals and villas market. Mr. Masson, welcome.
Hello everyone. First, can you hear me
well? We hear you very well.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you for having Booking.com, and thank you for having me on the conference. I mean, great job, Vicky and Satis. I've been looking at the number of people attending apparently, as well as the program. That's really amazing. That's really amazing. So, as you said, Booking.com is obviously a big company. We also are big in short-term rentals, vacation rentals, obviously in Europe and elsewhere in the world. For example, just a number, we have more than 7 million listings of homes, apartments, villas, and other unique places to stay. So just to mean that, again, we are very honored to be here to share insights, data, and things you can do because we care about the industry. A little word about myself. I'm actually a property owner myself, right? So I joined Booking.com 5 years ago when Booking was getting serious about this market. And I have properties in the Caribbean. I'm French Caribbean actually. And I have properties in Indonesia. So I was looking at a presentation about AirDNA, I could completely relate with that, right? In the Caribbean, we had a wonderful summer. It was incredible. People don't go to the Caribbean in the summer. They were here. Bali is still closed. So as an owner, I can relate to what to expect, what to do. So that's what we're trying to deliver here. Again, with AirDNA, we just heard, but with Booking. So I'm going to share, again, presentation. We'll go into insights and data, and also actions of what you can do, especially on Booking.com, if you're a Booking.com partner, what you can do today to get started. So let me share my presentation. Let me know if things are working well. All right.
Let me assure you, by the way, that next year we'll come to one of your properties to host the conference. It sounds very appealing.
We might do a house exchange. I'm always open for that. But of course, it's better if I book you on Booking and you book me on Booking, of course.
Okay.
All right, so if you can see the presentation, so again, yes. Here, the idea again, just like AirDNA shared data about the market, here I'm going to share qualitative research we did as well with 28,000 travelers around the world. So, 20,000 travelers in 28 markets, right? Of course, a lot of them in Europe, you can imagine. And the goal for us, again, as I said, we are very serious about holiday rentals, vacation rentals, all these properties, right? And of course, a bed and breakfast as well, of course. These are properties we've had on platform for 20 years. So let's see, without further ado, what Booking.com sees in these trends. I'll be talking about 9 different trends. You can see that our research team has maybe gave some kind of fancy names to some of them. Let's deep dive right now to see what they're about. Again, the goal is for me to explain to you what one trend is, data, that means yes, it's happening, and 3, what can you do about them? Because I'm an owner and I like trends, but I kind of like to know, okay, so what do I do now? The first one, and we heard about this, right? As you know, people, when they're surveyed, they say they want to travel again, right? It's very clear. I think it was very clear when, for example, Greece had travel corridors with the UK, with different places. People wanted to come even last year, right, when it was kind of hard. They want to make up for the lost time. 42% say, yes, I want to make up for the lost time. And also what they say, they actually want to travel they appreciate travel more. What's interesting though, it's kind of obvious, especially the younger segment, right? What we call Gen Z. So these people are more keen on traveling. Can that make sense? You can imagine, between the fears, between the of getting the COVID. So making sure that you also appeal to younger travelers is important, right? It can mean, for example, updating the photos you have. If the photo, make sure that the photos of your property, have something appealing to younger travelers. We talked about Wi-Fi is kind of obvious, like a photo, why not a photo of your Wi-Fi speed, by the way, or making sure it's trendy or Instagram friendly. It's very important. So make sure you appeal to these people. They are the first ones who will want to travel again. So they will come back. Not surprising, we all know that. But let's go to this next one. And that was very interesting. So we have here 68% of them who expect that properties on Booking.com, for example, or that you, if you're booking a partner, will be offering promotions and discount. So how does it work with what you just heard from AirDNA? Well, let me give you an example. Actually agree with what Jamie from AirDNA said, right? As I said, in the Caribbean, we had a crazy, like New Year's Eve was full. We only had the island where I live, we only had, well, most of the time, we only had 15% fewer people than last year. Right? Most Americans flew there to the Caribbean. It was unexpected. So obviously, we did not have to discount our prices. So that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying then, though, let's think about other things. We heard, I think, Vicky talked about, I think, the notion of workation or people traveling and working. If you have a family, or if you're like me, for example, at Booking.com, we'll be working from home until at least October this year. It's official, right? So I am planning on going on vacation, right? So what I can do, what my company lets me do, for example, is to work 2 weeks abroad and then go on vacation. So why not go to Greece this summer, work there for 2 weeks, and then take vacations? So in that case, what I might be interested in is a long-term discount. What I'm saying here, don't necessarily lower your prices for short-term discount, but Booking.com has launched last year rates, discounts you can do for a week or for a month. I don't know if you know that, now on Booking, actually you can book for more than 28 days in some destinations. So again, you don't necessarily have to discount if you're expecting a lot of demand, but maybe some kind of demand, like people working long-term, is interesting. And we do have these people in Europe who may want to travel as well, or maybe I'm traveling, but my partner has to work, so that's kind of important. Another trend we can talk about now is going to places. Oh, I'm making sure a slight delay with the slides. Okay, there we go. What's very interesting as well, we heard from DNA. DNA was talking about the domestic travel being strong. Actually, what we see here in our data is slightly different. What we hear, we want to go back in places they know. 50% of global travelers want to a place with which they have some familiarity. What does it mean, right? Let's imagine in Greece, you can have a lot of German travelers, English travelers, Italian travelers. They may come back, right? So of course, looking whether the travel corridors are opening with these travelers is important. Of course, Booking, we're very good at driving this kind of traffic to you. But it's also something to think about. Okay, it may mean that your local travelers will be important as well, that we know, or people with direct flights to you, right? Because people may not want to change twice or connect to another flight before getting to Greece, because maybe there's different travel restrictions, different kind of tests. So make sure that as well, you're on a platform or different platforms, you're targeting people who have direct flights to you. Again, Germany, UK, Italy are kind of obvious for Greece. Another point to have is that you may have people who canceled last year, but they may want to rebook with you. So think about getting back to your guests, right? People who booked with you and canceled may want to come back. We see this in the data, right? They may want to come back exactly to where they were. And last thing, people like me who live in a country but are from another one. I will want to see my family this year, right? I will see my family and stay for a long time. So make sure, again, you are on platforms that enable people to target, or maybe, I don't know, find a way to make discounts for Greek expats around the world who want to come back from Germany, for example, right? So think of this familiarity. Another trend to share is escapism. So what does it mean? It means that even if people are not traveling, they're still dreaming. And not just dreaming right now about travel, right? They're also starting to make decisions. Sort of what we saw in the AirDNA slide, that people are already booking for, let's say, summer, right? So what can you do? Well, first, people, of course, chat with friends and family, but make sure that if you have a property and you're on social media, make sure you're present, right? Make sure you are posting on social media, on Instagram, for example, to show that you're around. If people look for keywords around, one island in Greece, make sure you are posting, you are there. They are looking, right? They're making decisions, making shortlists right now. You want to be on those shortlists. What can you do if you're listing on Airbnb, on Booking, on other platforms, right? Well, same thing, make sure you're updating your photos. Have you done new stuff, new things in your property? When it was closed, for example, have you installed a new thing? Have you taken the photos? Have you updated your listing, right? Just like you're updating Instagram feed, you have to update your listings. It's the first thing people look at on a platform like Booking.com, the photos. So make sure you're updating those. As I said as well, right? If you think it's going to be more younger people this year, for example, make sure you're updating and adding like maybe a younger person taken in a shot from the back, because people want to project themselves, right? So if you have Instagram-like photos on your listing, it can help as well. Another thing to do is as well update all your listing. I'm thinking about Booking, right? Booking has a content score, where it means that we tell you, okay, we're missing maybe a description. We don't know whether you have a pool or not, or we don't know whether your pool has a shallow, as a shallow part for kids, right? To be able to swim or to sit safely. Again, take that time right now to update this. People are searching on websites. We see that they are making lists. So you make sure you've updated this. Booking.com has a score that you may know for your partner. Make sure your content score, which is to 100%, it is as close as possible to 100%. We tell you what people are looking for, and we ask you, please fill this in. Let us know what's there. That's all the things you can do to help them not only just dream, but also make a selection and have you included in the selection, right? Updating things like this is important on any platform on your website, for example. Another trend I want to mention is safety or cleanliness, for example. So that's obviously a topic, during the first weeks of, in March and April, I think it was all over there, right? I think we saw, as a property owner, right, I saw everyone publishing cleanliness guidelines. And some platform went really far, like 38 pages on how to clean things. And I was like, oh, wow. So I have to understand how to clean here. And then on this platform, I have to clean one way, clean another way. So of course, cleanliness is very important these days, right? Cleanliness is important because for people think, oh, if it's dirty, it's probably not safe. Right? It's not because it's clean that it's safe from the virus or thing like this. If it's dirty, people are like, okay, it doesn't look great. So more than ever, cleanliness is very important, right? What we do on Booking, we don't necessarily tell you that's what you should do. And here are 38 pages of what you should be doing. We're more like, that's why my advice, go now again to the Booking.com extranet, for example, and you'll see we ask you, okay, here are things you could be doing. For example, are you cleaning the dishes in a property between each guest, all the dishes? Can people opt out from daily cleaning in the villa, for example? So we ask you what you're currently doing. We're not from a list that we have, and you tick the boxes. We don't tell you do this, do that. We're more like, what are you doing? And then we show it on the interface. It's something that's very important to me because it actually helped this. And we had this list of things we were asking to properties or to hotels. And I was like, well, for short-term rentals, I think if I'm a guest, it's very important also to ask, for example, about things like the kitchen, for example, right? Or the dishes. Are you doing things, to make sure that it's even more clean, everything is clean in terms of dishes between each stay. And that's something, of course, that didn't make sense in a hotel room, but we made sure with my colleagues that we were adding this for you, that you can, again, reassure guests for that. So it's not about going crazy, but it's about like, if you're doing something, making sure you are saying that. So making sure you say in every platform what you're doing. And another thing to say is that, I don't know if you know that, but at Booking.com, we've been driving, I've started driving a program where basically, we also delist from properties with a cleanness score under 6. So I mean, like, if a property has been dirty for a long time, right? We say, okay, we warn them, we tell them that's not what we want for the platform. At some point, we warn them, sanction them, you can even take them out of the platform, right? So just to say, cleanliness is so important that you even may be delisted from that, right? Of course, there's a whole system of like warning, monitoring, and it's not like one day for another, of course, but just to say it's very important to the guest, but very important to every platform what you're doing, right? Another trend to have here, it's sustainability. So the topic of taking care of the environment, climate change, sustainability is important. It kind of in 2020 kind of like look like less important, right? I mean, with my business, I was like, okay, it's great, but first I need my business to survive. That was what I thought with my properties, and it was a tricky one, right? For example, to lower the volume of plastic that we were using at my properties, what we did, we had replaced these little individual bottles with big dispensers in the shower with wonderful products. I would fill it in every time there's a need, so that we didn't have so many little bottles. This, obviously, we kind of had to stop at the beginning during COVID because people didn't feel so safe at first using this big dispenser, one guest after the other, right? Even though we told them we would disinfect the part where people push the button to get the soap, they were not safe. So kind of looks like it was kind of tricky to both reintroduce more plastics so people could feel safe, and we've just seen it's important for people, and try to save. But still, it still matters nowadays. People will still care about this. So again, we don't necessarily tell you do this, do that, but on Booking.com, for example, in Extract, you can say what you're doing, right? If you're taking some measures to be more sustainable, we're going to show that. And we know from data that a lot of people are looking for that when they're booking nowadays, right? They want to help people who are more sustainable, and they're also expecting you, the hospitality professional, to be offering this option, to start caring about this. And again, if you're competing maybe for bookings this summer, and if you're doing a good thing about environment, make sure people see it, right? Make sure they know about it on the platform or on your website, for example, because that may be the difference between a young, a Gen Z millennial picking you over another person, right? If you're doing great things, just say that. A trend again we talked about earlier, workation, or I think I know there's a session about digital nomads, for example, coming up. I think it's a great topic. So the survey we had, right, told us that 37% of travelers that they already have considered booking a place where they can stay to work, right, from a different place. And some even say, you know what, even if I'm traveling on business, I will extend to stay for leisure. So this trend of digital nomads, they've existed for quite some years, right? If you are in destination like Bali, for example, Chiang Mai in Thailand, or even in Eastern Europe, in Prague, for example, in Georgia, and Eastern Europe as well, or Colombia, they've been destinations for digital nomads for years, right? These guys, these girls will come and book for a month or two, and what they really, really want is Wi-Fi. And of course, they need a desk, right? So this trend has suddenly expanded not just to these weird nomads, but to everyone, as I just said, right? With booking, I won't go to the office before October 1st. And I'm like, okay, then why don't I work then 2 weeks in Greece instead, right? But of course, what I will want to know, as we said, is there a desk for me? Do you have a desk? What's your Wi-Fi speed? And also, can you invoice? Can I get an invoice from you? Because maybe I want to invoice my company or invoice Booking.com or whoever for where I am staying, right? Maybe important to have an invoice as well. So at Booking last year, we introduced a program called Work Friendly, when you could exactly say that. Yes, we have high-speed Wi-Fi. Yes, we have a desk, separate desk, or corner where to work. Yes, we can make an invoice and a few things that, again, make it like work friendly. Again, think about it, right? If you are two parents who have a job, suddenly it means like 1 week I can work from the place we booked, and the other week my partner does. So we both are working and on vacation at the same time. So it's very important. It's happening. Again, if you enable that, it's important. Depending on the platforms or where you are, taking a photo of your actual speed, internet speed is super important, right? That's, again, how do you know? I mean, of course, I would trust you, but if I see actually a photo of your speed test, right? It's very easy to do, take a photo of a speed test. I'm like, okay, that's how fast they are. So make sure everything you do, so I can see and update your photos. Can I see that you have a desk? Do I see that if the baby cries, I can somewhat work despite that? So again, it's very important. It's maybe not photos, maybe amenities that you had before, mention them or show them to guests. You want to be selected. If it's going to get more competitive and you're already doing this, make it so. Tell them it's possible, right? And also, as I said later, you may think as well as a discount for a month booking or even a week, right? Do you want to have these kind of things? We heard people taking their properties out of the market because there are no tourists, but maybe for digital nomads staying over, let's say September, October, September, October, that could be interesting, right? You may want these people at your property. Simple pleasures. So it's another trend here. So I hope you appreciate the trend and the data, and I'm really trying to make it so like, okay, then what do I do? And here, simple pleasures, well, it's something we heard a lot in 2020, right? It's like, especially with lockdowns, right? We're being forced at your place. People are like, hey, you know what? When I can get out of my home, I will enjoy nature, outdoors, big things, right? And the second big thing as well is family. So again, if you have a villa, of course, on an island, like a small island in Greece, amazing, perfect. Again, that's something probably you saw last summer, right? Of course, people have to be able to come over, I know, but just to say that's what people are dreaming of. Remember what I told you, that's what they're dreaming of. So make sure right now you're seen on the platforms, right? They're making shortlist. You want to be on this shortlist. Could be rural as well, right? Can't be just, it doesn't have to be like a beach, right? It can be rural as well. Another thing is family. Family is very important, right? Make sure if you're able to cater to families, that's very important. Family is your personal bubble. You want to travel with your family. Or even if you have a smaller apartment, for example, maybe people, expats, right, will come back to see their family. So I don't know, on Instagram, social media, different platforms, make sure you're talking around the family value, because even if I'm an expat, even if I were single, I would care about like, oh, well, yeah, that's a good place. Maybe I can book to be with my family, and maybe I can come over to my own country and have my brother come and stay with the nice house I booked, right? So think of the value family in whatever you're showing in your marketing. I'm almost done, so I think I would be on time. Perfect, it's important. Another thing is technologies. So what I mean by technologies is that a lot of time with our properties, check-in is very important, right? If you're a property manager, you know that check-in is very important. And sometimes that's why you give your property to a property manager, because you can't do the check-ins. Maybe you live in Athens and the villa is somewhere on an island, you're not there, right? That's the case for me. But what you can do with technology, for example, you can enable self-check-in. So self-check-in, as you know, is basically being able to send a code to someone to the door of the place, and they can tap the code in and get inside, right? This, of course, was a trend we saw before that. It was rising. We saw more people searching for that, because believe it or not, maybe in the tech world where I am from, A lot of people are happy not to talk with anyone. So maybe because we're more introverts in the tech world, some people are like, no, I don't need to talk with anyone. I just want to get into a place. I don't need lengthy talks. So it's funny enough, some people actually see being welcome as something they may not wish for. I love that because I love meeting people. You can tell I'm very chatty, right? But some people don't like that. So offering them self-check-in is an option. As well, with COVID-19, self-check-in suddenly became very important. People didn't want necessarily to meet somebody else, or maybe you didn't want to expose your employee to this, or because of costs, right? You're trying to save money. Maybe you had to say goodbye to some of your employees who were doing the check-in, right? So it means that self-check-in also became a solution, somewhat to save costs or to make sure you were giving social distancing. So it's important. Or tools to chat are very important as well. Or indoor welcome guides, anything you can give to hosts, to guests, to still feel welcome, even if you're not there, right? For example, I always make sure there's a welcome guide from me, or there's even there's messages I send, automated emails, template after they check in to say, with a quick video of me, say, hey, welcome, is anything happening? Let me know. As you know, if there's something wrong with the house, you want to catch it early in the stay, right? We all know that the reviews are really important based on what's happening at first. So that's it. That was the presentation today. Here was just to show that there was a lot of people interviewed. It's kind of important. And thank you so much for having us. Let me stop sharing.
Thank
in
you
hindsight, so right? So there are trends happening. There's data. But there's things you can do, even if people are not booking right now, making sure you go all around all the platforms. They've introduced new things, new programs. Check them out. You want to tick the right boxes because you want to be seen, you want to be in the lists, and you want people to have you in mind when they go and travel.